Welcome back. Being a Friday evening here in Australia, 5:45, I can hear some of the psst, the teddies being opened, which is a familiar Aussie sound, along with the kookaburra and skippy. It's the psst, that's the noise that teddy makes. And that's something Jake Reid has taken down. He's just learnt something already, that we drink far too much in Australia. Jake Reid is university's director for the Great British PAC and a current politics and international relations student at the University of Nottingham. Now, he has experience in grassroots campaigning, student representation, and political research. He has volunteered with the Conservative Party at both local and national levels, supporting constituency work and campaign operations. He's an ambassador for the Conservative Environment Network, where he advocates for pragmatic, market-led approaches to environmental policy. And in his role with the Great British PAC, Jake is building a nationwide team of PAC student directors at universities across the UK to spearhead a new wave of activism that champions the values of the right, inverted commas, small c conservatism and patriotism. First of all, Jake, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Mike.
You didn't know that noise, did you?
I've actually been to Australia.
Oh, really? You know that noise?
Yeah. I went to Australia 8 years ago. I had a great time.
And they let you out?
They let me out. Yeah. So I got back home okay.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. I mean, the people think of Australia as being the great outdoors. It really isn't. I mean, we're just like any other nation. Most of us live in cities, but that noise, that psst, always Saturday afternoon or a Sunday afternoon, and it hasn't yet been banned. It is expensive though. Beer is expensive at the moment. What is the? Tell us more about the GB PAC.
Yeah, so the Great British PAC, it's a way to unite the patriotic right within the UK. Our CEO, Claire Bullivant, she used to live over in America, saw how the Americans were doing things and how much the PACs, like the PAC system on their side, can really affect politics and affect change. And when she came back over to the UK, she decided that she wanted to build it up and make sure that we could have the same, that we could have real change in the UK.
Because you need change at the moment, desperately. And but it's been I'll just, before we go any further, I'll just play this short clip which backs up why I think you need change. And by the way, I think your country, or what it used to be, was and could be a magnificent country. Cam, if you could just play Tim Pool.
I believe that your country is conquered, and it's because of your moral philosophies and ideologies. They are weak and they allow to be destroyed.
What do you mean by conquered?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you've got a large influx of non-citizens with psychotic, violent beliefs that are chopping people's heads off in the street. You're not allowed to talk about it, and without going to jail. You've got gangs that have been operating for decades. I look at the UK, and it's like you've got a political body threatening to extradite American citizens for us expressing our opinions on our own country. You can't have screwdrivers in public. The things that your country has done to its citizenry is shockingly insane to an American. And it's absurd that you have such a massive influx of a disparate ideology coming into your country and imposing its will on you, and you do nothing about it. And in fact, your government largely protects, supports, and votes for it. I mean, that's insane.
So can you disagree with him? Where is he wrong?
Unfortunately, I can't. I've seen the video that was shown before, and I really like Tim Pool. I think he does a great job over in America, and I wish he was wrong. I wish he was, but obviously that is exactly why we are doing what we're doing. We're trying to make sure that in 2029, when our next general election, unless Starmer for some reason calls it early, which I doubt, that
he won't do that.
No, he won't. He definitely won't. But as soon as he calls out that next general election, that we can have a patriotic, united right come into office, and we can start working on it. I mean, we've got our KC on our side in the Great British PAC, Martin Howe, writing up at the minute the Great Repeal Act. So everything from 1997 sort of onwards, looking through it and getting rid of anything that really disagrees with how the UK has been beforehand and how great of a country it was, and making sure that we can actually bring that back.
What are some of the things that you see that is required? I mean, I can tell you it's very, very obvious, but from your point of view, though, some of the things that is required to change immediately.
I mean, how long you got? No, I mean, immediately, I think we really do need to have a look at the way that people think in terms of the ideology, get rid of the woke nonsense, and start bringing back into the light how great of a country we are. Because so I, as you said at the beginning, I'm a university student and I'm surrounded by this all day, every day. People tearing down what our great history has been, people speaking, the race arguments, ideological arguments, everything you can think of. And I think we really need to get back to a position where we can turn around and say, actually, no, this is a great country. Look at all the great things we've done, not only in our own country, but across the world, and make sure that it's, everyone is actually liking living in the UK. I think it has gone down, but we can bring it back. And that's what, as I said, the PAC is for.
Yeah, he's there till, I think he'll be there till 2029. And that's gives him plenty of time to set in motion a whole bunch of, like, for example, like Joe Biden did. And so Donald Trump has to undo those things. And if Starmer does the same thing with the UK, you have to undo those things. And if you look at immigration, your housing, immigration, him wanting to put sulfur around the earth, but that's not going to happen. If it does, we're all dead. It's all over Red Rover. But the other stuff, immigration, housing, I mean, that's a long-term fix, isn't it? Because at the moment you got more people than there is accommodation.
Oh yeah, I mean, housing is definitely a big one. I know people my age who, I'm a mature student. I'm actually 29. I'm a bit older than the rest of my cohort. 21, I'm hoping you'll say. But no, so people my age, the generation before me, my parents by this time would have been having their own house, having kids, settled down. And I'm seeing more and more across social media, people my age not being able to get a house, not being able to settle down, don't want to do it because money's tight, they can't get a house. It is a struggle, but that's the sort of thing that we need to look at. And when you say about Starmer's sort of push to add more to that, I think that is really where the PAC comes in with things like the policy platform, policyplatform.co.uk, where the general public can start writing in policies that they would like, and they get reviewed by the PAC to be given to the next patriotic government. I mean, we've already got examples of that where when Reform UK won a lot of the council seats in the last couple of weeks, they've started introducing policies such as only having the Union Jack above council buildings, and that was actually one of our policies that came from the policy platform. So even now on the local level, we can start bringing in things, and then when it does get to 2029 and we do get back in, a patriotic government back in, they can immediately jump on with everything that we've seen in over the years.
Just because you're a mature age student, 29. Generally, the students are late teens, early 20s, and at that age, I mean, I was when I went to college in Adelaide. At that age, we were interested in biology, that being the phys ed students. They were delightful, and drinking. And as we got older, though, we realised that basically the biology part and the drinking bit needed to stop, and we needed to work harder. Have you found the ideas from the 19 to say 21, 22-year-olds, and what you're thinking? Because is there a clash? Because you are mature, you've seen a lot more of the world and understand how it works, whereas at university, you're sort of still protected, so you have these grand illusions or how the world should be. So what's the clash there? We say, is there a clash with you and the students, or are you surprised at their level of understanding of what is needed?
On the whole, there is a clash. I have arguments with people sort of on a daily basis. Being a politics student, there's a lot of room for debate. So a lot of arguments over, say, taxes. People liking the fact that we're getting taxed through the high heavens, and my response to them every time is, I've been out and worked for 10 years. I've done my time sort of in that sector, paid my taxes. I can tell you how bad it is, and that was before additional taxes came into place in April. And it is a case where I think a lot of them will hit the real world and struggle. I mean, there are obviously groups within every uni. So, we've got conservative associations, they're really good. There's new reform associations popping up across the country. And obviously the work that I'm doing with the PAC as the university's director, I am reaching out to those right-leaning students, patriotic students who don't agree with the mainstream, well, I say mainstream air quotes, university dogma that's in place. So there are definitely students across the country that don't agree with sort of the university ideology at this point, and it's really great to see.
Look, we are running out of time, but can you quickly tell us about your project?
Yeah, so my project is I'm running a campus leader student activism campaign across the UK. So reaching out to every uni, I've reached out to 144 universities, and we are essentially making a voice for not only the Great British PAC, but for students in general who don't agree with what the universities are trying to force down our throats, so that they can speak up and that they can really make a change, so that come 2029, that is the case. Looking obviously ahead with Starmer's work and the fact that, children who are 12 now in the next election possibly could vote. So we really do need to work to get the younger generations involved in patriotism and not going down the woke line of thinking.
Yeah, Starmer wants to, or they're talking about lowering the voting age. That will create new optics and go right back to what we were talking about just before. Your ideas when you're 19 or 21 are way different than if you were 17 or younger. Well, I don't know what your voting age is there, but
it's 18 at the minute.
So if he lowers it, I mean, basically the new influx of voters are those that are still at home in the second bedroom, living with mum and dad.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to think that my younger sister could vote in the next election, knowing what she's like now, but that could be the possibility. So we need to get in there and make sure that the schools aren't brainwashing them.
It's a nice way of staying in power, though, because at that age, you got hopefully got 3 meals a day and a roof over your head, and you're looking forward to going to university and maybe the workforce if you have to. That sort of doesn't sit well at all. Fantastic chatting. In about 5 seconds, can you tell me how they could find out more about you?
Yeah, go to greatbritishpac.com or look up Great British PAC on X.
Jake Reid, thank you very much. This is The Pulse.